It's all right. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? I've had the opportunity my whole life to talk to great teams and really talented people, whether it be at Duke, West Point, or the 11 years I was with I coached the U.S. team. And really, as far as talent on campus, this is probably the most talented group. And so when Ryan got in touch with me and asked, I said, yeah, let's do it. But I'll let you. Can you hear me all right? All right, it's better because
Just for the camera too.
for camera. All right. I've been doing a lot of speaking. I speak for the Washington Speakers Bureau, so I've been. The last week I was in Nashville, Chicago, Cleveland, and I'll be in Napa Friday, hopefully getting some good wine. But good morning. We're going to do a Q&A and whatever, but before doing that, I just wanted to say it in thinking about you, because we've talked a few times about this, and I always like to get prepared who I'm speaking to or who I'm spending time with. And when I think of all of you, I think of talent, okay? I think of commitment. I think of passion, all right? I think of hard work. And when I throw all those things together, it's good. It's really good. But it's dangerous too, because if that's the only thing you have, and you focus just on how you're going to do things and what you're doing, it can be tough. I would just like to recommend that you, at times, take time to focus why you do it. I'm a big guy as far as owning it, and you don't own anything unless you feel it. So people, and when I speak a lot, companies and that, they spend a lot of time so that their people hear and see. They do not spend a lot of time with feel. And what you hear and see has to get here, or else you're not going to do it, no matter those four things I mentioned before, no matter how high you do them. You'll do them higher and deeper if you feel. And so really take time every once in a while for me, and the tough times in my profession and getting to where we eventually got to and staying there, sustaining it, you better take time to feel, this is why I do it. And understand, like for you all, you're in an amazing profession, and the road to get there is as tough as any. But once you're there, I mean, every time you do your work, you have a chance to make someone else feel. Because of how you do it, what you're doing, and if you have a deep passion for it, and feel that when you're doing it. When I get a chance to talk to the surgeons who are already doing that stuff, sometimes they can become calloused in technique and whatever, and forget about why. Since I retired in April, I've literally gotten thousands of letters and emails and people saying thank you and good luck and all that kind of stuff. Great job, coach. But I've gotten an inordinate amount of letters from people that I forgot that I touched. The people, the dozens of people that I've called when their loved one was in hospice, and don't look, for my thing, don't do that, okay? Just don't do that. Yeah. Otherwise, you shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't be here talking to you. But when you're in hospice and you call someone and you try to make them feel, they make you feel good too. After every operation that you'll have, you should feel good. Not that it's done and it was successful, but what did you just do? And so I got these 3 and 4 page letters, and some kid that you helped, now that he's the head of a corporation or whatever. And for about 7 weeks, I called about 2 people a day. I found out their number. My assistant found out their number, and it was heartwarming. It validated, like, you may look at it as a win. I got a lot of wins. I haven't thought about a win or a loss since I retired, but I've thought about, man, we touched a lot of people, and some of them are funny. I got an email from a lawyer. Usually lawyer emails aren't funny, but and you don't like to get emails from lawyers, but this one had attached a letter from his 92-year-old mother, okay, and a picture of her, and he said, please have Coach read this. So I read it, and I had my secretary, my assistant Jerry, say, find out Marge's number. Marge is from near Poughkeepsie, New York, 92 years old. And I call her up. And I said, Marge, this is Coach K. And she said, is this a trick? And I said, Marge, it's not a trick. I'm looking at your picture, and I just read your letter, and it made me feel good. And I just want to thank you. And she paused, and she said, Coach, just like that. Coach, so I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. And she says, Coach, you've made me feel good for 40 years. And I started crying. And now Marge and I correspond. My wife's okay about it. She said, anybody over 90, it's fine. We're good. But what I'm saying is, during the tough times, and you have a lot of pressure, the over 100-hour weeks that you put in, and it's going to be it is worth it. And the other thing, to whom much is given, much is expected. Much has been given to you, but not all of that has been developed. It's there. It just needs to be developed, and it needs to be developed in sometimes what seems to be a very difficult way. I would hope that as you all go through it, that you form a team, that you help one another. A big thing is not to go through this alone. When I graduated from West Point and was an Army officer. When I went to West Point, I got knocked on my butt a lot. And we were taught that failure was never your destination. And so get up each time. But when you get up, don't get up alone. Be on a team. And so as you're going through this, I don't know all the competitiveness and whatever there is. But at the end of the day, you'll be better if you're one. Have each other's back. Take care of one another. Okay? You know each other well. You know if someone's down, up, or whatever. If it's someone just had a tough situation, have empathy. I know there are probably at times when you're being taught, you feel that the person teaching you may not have empathy. All right? Well, that's a lesson too. So that when you're in that position, come on, do what you felt should be done. So there's a lot to learn here and a lot of camaraderie that can be developed. Going through tough things alone, okay, but going through tough things together forms a bond, and you'll be better if you form that bond. Now, 10 years from now, 20, when you're calling and saying, you should trust one another. Do you? Okay? Trust one another. You know what trust is? I'm a professor at Fuqua now. We had a Fuqua Coach K leadership summit with about 40 leaders from around the country. And we talked about trust. And we asked, what's the definition of trust? And one of the top professors there, a good friend, Sim Sitkin, said, boom, he raised his hand right away. And he said, Coach, trust is being vulnerable in an uncertain environment. The environment that you have a lot of times is very uncertain. It's okay to be vulnerable and ask, what would you do, and whatever. And a lot of times leadership is taught where the leader should never do that, and that's wrong. That is wrong. And sometimes the leader should ask that even if they already know the answer. Because I might ask you, and you say it, it's exactly what I was going to do, but I said, that's a great idea. How do you feel if that happened? Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. And maybe the next time I ask you that, and I don't know, you'll have the courage and understanding to do it. It's that type of interaction that needs to happen. I don't think it happens as much as it should in medicine, because you have to be so laser focused. And so it has to be something that you work on. I would suggest that you work on it while you're going through this journey to become who you're going to become. So anyway, that's what I thought about when I thought about you over the last couple days, and we can do this. So I hope some of that resonates. It's not bullshit. It actually works. It actually, two is better than one if two can act as one. Imagine if you have a group like you acting as one. Come on. Come on. Coordinated talent with passion, commitment, knowledge, and hard work. In this group, there are things that are going to be done by people in this group that have never been done before. What an exciting journey. And that's, and when you add why to it, it's a journey worth taking. It's a journey worth being committed to. So anyway, we'll go.
All right. We'll spend a little bit of time talking with Coach about these sort of issues, what you all are going through right now in terms of who you're becoming, the challenges of that, and becoming the leaders that all of you are destined to be. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end just for a couple of questions with Coach, but we'll be respectful of his time. So, Coach, we talked a little bit about the importance of mentors, especially early on, and everyone in this room can look back to parents and teachers and folks in medical school who helped get them where they are today. Who are some of the most important mentors in your life early on, and how did they really shape your character?
Yeah, I'm not big on one mentor, because then you try to copy, and you have to be an original. So you should learn from a lot of different people. My mom was my first and best mentor, and she never went to high school, but she taught me the dignity of work and how well you should do any work that you're in. Also, she had a commitment to education, and that's why we have the Emily Krzyzewski Center. We service about 2,000 kids a year here in Durham, low-income kids. And I was fortunate. I went to the best leadership school in the world, the United States Military Academy, and you learn from your peers too. That's why the mentor word I'm not that big on, because you should learn from one another. You're in constant search of looking at new ways, a term, and so I watch everybody. In the coaching profession, I played for Bob Knight, and then worked for him for a year. Technique-wise and that, a lot. Some of the things that he did I wouldn't do, but he could do. And a very important time for me was this is a long time before any of you were born, 1984, and I'm the coach at Duke for about 3 years then, and I'm scouting in the LA Olympics for night of the scout. He's the head coach of our Olympic team. And one night, there were 4 people at a dinner, coach, myself, Mr. Iba, who's one of the icons in our sport, and Coach Newell, another icon. And I'd gotten to know them pretty good. And night leaves, and we start talking, and both of them said, you know, you have a chance to be a really good coach. We think you're good. And they both said, don't try to be us. You can never be him, me, him, but you can be you. And so take the good points, if there are any, that you like, and use them. And that's what I've tried to do. And in my profession, once we were really good, how do you learn in your own profession? I think you all share ideas more than coaches would share ideas. Like Dean Smith and Bob Knight and I weren't going to have lunch and say, tell me how you beat us the last time. You know, why my operation on you didn't work. And so I think it's important not just to learn about, you know, what you do, but about people. And so I started speaking for the Washington Speakers Bureau, and the content calls and getting prepared for them. I learned about people who are highly successful, motivated, but they weren't playing basketball. They were in other walks of life. And it really helped me immensely. And this is where I think people who are teaching you miss out or have a chance to miss out. I learned from my players. I coached some of the greatest players, I coached more great players than anyone ever, because 11 years with the U.S. No one has done that, so it's not because I was a great coach, but I happened to be in the neighborhood there with them. And you learn from them. 5 years ago, my last 5 years at Duke, we started medical analytics at a high level because of what I learned. I didn't know it, but we have a sports scientist. We measure everything. I got a report every morning on workloads, number of jumps. We measure it, and I followed it 100%. And so you learn from a bunch of different people. But if you have a problem, I don't know if that's where a mentor comes in. A lot of times the problem, I think the most problems that have been solved for me have been by my wife and daughters. You know, like they knew me well. And so sometimes in your profession, you have family and business and you don't combine them. And remember, the person that you should be most vulnerable with is the person that you're a partner with, or the family that you have. And so I look at it a little bit differently. I don't read one biography and say I'd like to be that person, but there may be things that happen in that.
We talked a little bit about how both on high-level athletics as well as other high-stakes environments, maybe the military, certainly surgery. It's a very hierarchical system. There's leaders at the top and people who are kind of subordinates, so to speak. We've all been in different roles as part of that team. You know, I'm amazed in the operating room, just thinking back on yesterday, at one point there was like 15 people all trying to help take care of this little child I was operating on. So all of the folks in this room will one day be the leader of that team when they graduate. How do you build trust in your team, Coach? I'm thinking of, you know, high stakes environments. There's 2 seconds left on the clock. You're down by 2. And your team's looking for you to help them, to lead. How do you build that trust so that they have that in you and each other?
Well, trust is one of the 7 values that we have. Like hopefully wherever you're at, you create a culture and a culture, a value-based culture for any organization really stands the test of time. And ours are integrity, respect, courage, selfless service, loyalty, duty, and trust. And the trust element really comes out like from the very, you can't wait until that moment to want trust. You have to build it before that moment is there. So we have standards of how we live together. We don't have rules. I don't believe in rules. Rules can never be owned. They can be obeyed or disobeyed. But standards, the way you do things all the time, and you expect each other to do them all the time. Two of our standards, when we talk to each other, we look each other in the eye. The second one, we always tell each other the truth. In the moment, the truth needs to be said. Boom. And in your profession, boom, it's gotta happen. And we build on that all the time. And so when that moment comes, so imagine he's a recruit, okay? I know your family, he's now the top player in Minnesota. And we've had a few of them on our team. Say you're Trey Jones. And when I went and talked to you, I would say, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be one of the only people that's going to tell you the truth your whole life. And I will, with all my guys. I'll tell you the truth. And so, like, it's a really good suit, man. It's a beautiful suit, and that tie is perfect with that. Your shoes suck. And they don't. And basically, I don't want you to remember just that the shoe thing, And then I tell them, I said, I'm going to tell you, I try to tell them about that moment then. I said, there's going to be a time where I'm going to look in your face, in your eyes, and either you haven't played well, I'm going to say, we have a timeout. Be you, I need you to be you. You're not playing well. And you can't think, oh man, he's picking on me. No, I know you. You can do better. Or in that moment, I'm getting you the ball. Shoot the damn thing. I trust you. And so that's why in your teachings, in how you're learning, there's got to be interaction, where people ask you questions and if someone says that's wrong, you can't go, oh my God, you say, okay, why was I wrong? And that type of thing. But trust is, come on. And remember, it's not just trust with your team, it's trust with you and the patient. That's the thing that is overlooked a lot. Like, I spend a lot of time with our cancer center and the brain tumor, I'm on the brain tumor clinic team and whatever. I know with Alan and Henry Friedman are two of my best friends. And when someone walks in, they said, well, we can win. We can win. Trust us. And whatever. We just had a big dinner Friday night celebrating the new people that have come in and that. And so, but trust within your team and trust on the team that you are on now, you and that patient and the family. It's big.
I've noticed, Coach, whether it's high school athletes or even collegiate athletes, at some point it seems like when they're so focused on the sport, sometimes it can turn into work and they kind of lose their love for the game. Our surgery residents work their tails off, and sometimes we all have been in that spot where we kind of lose our love for the game a little bit. How did you motivate your guys in all the hard work that they were doing to still kind of hold on to that love for what they were doing and the passion for success that they had originally?
Yeah, well, for me, I go through that. I didn't love everything I did as a coach. And it's not just when I lost or whatever, but in order to do what you love, you're going to have to do some things that you don't love. But imagine the millions of people who are doing things just because they have to do them. They never know what they love. You've been given a gift, and that you know what you love. Don't lose sight of that gift. And that's why I mentioned the thing about why. Like imagine the miracles you're going to perform. The things that you're going to do, and the impact it's going to have on that person and that person's family. But the other thing is, in those down moments, that's why you should interact. You should interact and help one another in that regard. Because sometimes in a moment or a certain time period, it's not as clear, but it's clear to your teammate. It's clear to your team. And that's why to get together and celebrate what you're doing, or even have fun with it. Like, I don't know the names of the people that teach you or whatever, but I'm sure at times they don't do it completely right with you, and or you don't think they do, and it's kind of like me as a coach. It's okay for the team to make fun of me every once in a while when they get together. Like, did you hear what Coach K said today? He's a complete idiot, like, and yeah, man, and just, I don't know, it bursts the bubble a little bit, like it blows it up and gets it in. But, when you're in that, I think the word that comes out is alone. And when you're really talented and you're doing something at a high level, you're alone more than most people. You are. Coach Shire and I, who's now the head coach, we talked about this a lot over the last year and a half, that leadership is a lonely position at times. And a big thing is because you think so much. You think about what you did, what you're going to do. It means so much to you. And that's why it's helped me with family, with my wife and my daughters, because they talk. They talk more than guys. They do. And they most of the time they make more sense. And I just think don't be alone in those times. Think about why, but hey, I'm having a little bit of a problem. Just stay with it, man. Stay with it. Don't. And the other thing with that is you won't perform as well if you stay in that mode, right? If you're in that mindset, you're not learning as much. You're not doing as much. So, like with a player, you might say, why don't you come tonight and get some extra shots up, and don't do it like try things that you haven't done before, and then all of a sudden not show up. And for me, I have an office on the 6th floor of our Schwartz Brothers building. It's like a museum. I never had a player meeting in there. I had a small office, locker room level, and we had a little kitchen, and I had a lot of impromptu meetings like that. And so, same thing with if you sense a teammate feeling that way, let's go have a drink, or let's go have something, or whatever, and just have each other's back. Have each other, because at the end of the day, you make each other better. Talent, like a world record in a race is not won with slow sprinters. Everybody in the race can run. And so everyone in your race, all of you, you're talented, and just don't do it alone.
You mentioned recruiting. when you're looking for a player, coach, obviously you're looking for talent, pure talent, their physical strength, size. What are some of the character qualities, the intangibles that really made someone a successful player, a leader on the court and a leader in life, and then kind of translated, what are the essential qualities that these young surgeons should really not neglect as they continue their development?
Yeah, well, we looked at three things my entire time. Once I learned, after a couple of years here at Duke, three things, and they're all equal. Talent, you gotta be really good. I mean, you gotta be able to shoot, and you gotta be good. You know, we wanna win a national championship. And the second thing is environment. We have a great school here. How will they do in this environment? Are they pretty good students? Are they, you know, so you don't put them in an environment that you can't beat. The third thing is character, and that's like big. So character, they're always the best player on the team, in the state, or whatever. So you look and see how they react when a teammate does something well. When a teammate doesn't do well, at a timeout, do they look at their coach? We get teacher evaluations. We meet with them as a family. And I'd say more than half of our guys, but not that much more than half, have mothers and fathers. But all of them have mothers, okay? All of them have mothers. And I look at how they act with their moms. I really do. Like, do they listen? Are they respectful and whatever? So when they come here, they have talent. They're going to be good in the environment, and they already have good character. And then everyone says, boy, you made your guys so good. No, they were good when we got them. We just helped make them better, and so did Duke, the environment. And that's worked for us. For a great player, a couple things. Their work ethic. You know, we not only watch them in a game, we'll watch them in practice. You know, how hard do they practice? Do they talk? You know, a big thing. You know, I'm 75. Last year, I coached, 2 of my starters were 18. Okay, I kept getting older, they stayed the same. And so I had to adapt communication-wise. No, for 20 times maybe, culture changes. Like these guys now, their attention span is not good. It's not good. So if I have 10 minutes to talk, say 20 minutes, I do 10 minutes in one place, 10 in another, or I'd have Coach Shire start to talk, I'd sit in the back, I'd say something, they'd have to turn, then I would come. You know, you have to put on a show a little bit. It really is nuts. And they are, but they're the same. You know, people call them, they call them all these things. Look, these guys have stayed the same. It's just how you communicate with them is different. And like for me, look, I'm not saying I'm dressed great, but I'm not dressed like I was 10 years ago, okay? I have Air Force Ones on instead of Converse. My slacks are a little bit, you don't want them too thin, but they're current. Good top. You know, I don't wear baggy sweats. So when I talk to them, they're saying, look at this, who the hell is he? You know, and you know, sometimes at a practice, my guys was, last year a guy said, Coach, your feet are hot. And I said, no, they're not. They're not. I said, no, you look good, Coach. I said, thanks a lot. And saying just to come in their world. Like the kids today, and social media is unbelievably tough because you want them to hear one voice and they hear a lot of voices. But I would say the kids today, and we only have them sometimes for a year, if they were a pool of water, it's all shallow water. But it's a big pool. They know more, they're better swimmer. They're more athletic. Kids a while back were a little bit deeper. And when we had them for 4 years, even if they came in the shallow end, by the end, they were all swimming in deep water. And so how far can we get them in a short period of time? And then what's you as the leader, it's on you to give the message. And then they'll receive it if you do it a certain way. Humor is a good thing. And a big thing now is holding people accountable. That's not alive and well as they grow up. You know, the kid gets a C in a course, it's the teacher's fault. And instead of saying, hey, you got a C. I can help him get an A, but he's got to recognize that he did C work. And that's not, people are not as tough being held accountable as even 4 or 5 years ago. It's a big difference. And COVID had communication and all that. It's an interesting time with communication. And again, and the people you're servicing, the patients, it's different.
We have a lot of accountability in surgery. In fact, every Wednesday morning at 6:45, and we did it this morning, Coach, we share our mistakes and we get feedback from our peers, and we're kind of humbled and have to say, I messed up on this, or this didn't go well. In our profession, we have to deal with mistakes, disappointments, and failures a lot. How did you deal with that as a coach? Your failures or losses were very public as well.
Right.
How did you handle that and grow from those?
Yeah, well, and it can be a loss in a game or an injury or a setback, you know, which is a loss. And I've done this now for a long time, but I didn't do it my whole life. I had a formula for me. So the very first thing is something happens to you, and you go through your human things like, man, like this. Like for me, I might throw something against the wall, or not a person, but and then okay, here's where we're at. So there are 4 things. The first thing is attitude. We are all equal in the fact that we are the ones who are in control of our attitude. It's not anyone else's responsibility. It's ours. God gave us that ability. All right, use it. And so I have that talk. Do I have a good attitude? I have a damn good attitude. I have a great attitude. Okay, the second thing is belief. Belief in you and belief in your group. Do you think you're good? Do you believe? Yeah, I'm good. I am really good. And sometimes you look in the mirror and say, I'm good, man. I am good, and my team's good. Okay, the third thing is preparation. That's the acknowledgement of what happened. And then, okay, what could we have done differently? Did we prepare well? Did we do this? Full disclosure and whatever, and say, you know, if we had done that one thing, man, can you believe we did not do that one thing? We'll never do that again. And so you prepare, and then you execute the next time. And so I had an honor of coaching Kobe Bryant twice, and he and I were very close. And I have on my phone a stream of things that, quotes or little interviews that he did. 2 weeks ago I was watching one of them. They're short, right? They're 2 minutes a minute. And someone asked him, will you hate losing? He says, not completely. You know, when you lose, you learn. You learn what you may have done wrong in preparation, or you learn that your opponent sees something in you that's a weakness. But then don't lose again in that. And so you are gonna make mistakes and lose. And you cannot be perfect. But if you repeat the same by not having attitude, belief, preparation, and execution, then that's not good. That's not good. And be grown up. Be, like, it's what happens, all right? And when you're in a team, I don't like for anybody to say my bad, my fault. I don't like any singular pronouns, whether I hit the shot or it was my bad. Like, just shut the hell up, we're all responsible for this. You hit that shot, we're responsible for it. And so we try to embrace plural pronouns in what we do.
I've appreciated, Coach, how open you've been about some of your limitations, especially the 94-95 season where you had to take some time back away from coaching. I'm curious just a little bit about the kind of growth you had there, and in particular for our group, you worked closely with a group of physicians around that time.
Right.
What were the qualities that were most impressive to you about those folks that we all can try to emulate?
Yeah, well, again, we had gone to 7 Final Fours in 9 years and won 2 national championships. And it's hard to explain. The world changes, the demands, the notoriety, and whatever. And I had a hard time saying no, and I was more of a micromanager. And then I got sick. I had a problem that was misdiagnosed, and we started practice, and I went to a neurosurgeon, and he had me jump on one leg, and I could jump. When I jumped on the other leg, I fell down. And I said, "What the hell's that?" And he said, you need to get operated on right away. I said, "I can't, I got practice." He said, "No, you want to be Quasimodo, or you want to have a dead foot, or you want, get your ass in the operating room tomorrow." So I did, and I should have stayed out longer. And I came back after a day. And something that I learned at that time was sometimes you're dealing with somebody that even a physician, you let the patient diagnose himself, or it's having too much respect, or whatever the hell it is. And somebody should have just said, "You're not practicing." I don't blame anybody, but I learned that. Tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth. And after a month and a half, I was dead, but I had no feeling. In other words, I could touch, but I had no emotion. I had a mental health issue in that. And my wife noticed it and told me I needed to get help. And if I didn't get it, she wasn't going to be home. So I got help with Dr. Brody, who was our former president and one of the top psychiatrists in the world. And I didn't coach for half a year. I actually turned in my resignation to my athletic director during that time, and he said, "You get well. If it takes you years, you're my coach." And for about 4 months, I worked with a local psychiatrist and Dr. Brody every day, and I got it back. And I would literally watch tape of one of the greatest games ever was us beating Vegas in a Final Four, and then we won our first national, an epic game. And I'd watch it and say, "I can't do that." And he would say, "That is you. You did." And I had to recalibrate. It took a while. But then I changed my leadership style too, to where I did not delegate, I empowered. Basically on a bike, I had run my organization where I was the middle, and every spoke came through me. And so when the whole thing collapsed. And then I started interacting everybody. and we got better. You know, we were better, and I was able to do more. But Dr. Brody, my belief in Dr. Brody was immense. And his manner, I would watch movies, not just tape of different people, and they would talk about how, you know, to act. It's fascinating. And I don't know how the hell it worked, but it worked. And I think it worked because I believed in him. But also my athletic director believed in me. My family believed in me. So I had a team around me that believed that I was going to get well. Not that I just believed that. I've been working with cancer treatment and the V Foundation for 30 years. And a big thing we found is to get a team around you. Yeah, that helps. Look, in any patient you're treating, if that patient has a great attitude, there's a greater chance that patient's going to be successful. And that patient will have a better attitude if the team around them has an attitude. That's why the interaction of a physician with a family or patient is critical.
All right, I think at this point we could take a couple questions as we kind of wrap up. If you could just go to the microphone so we can hear, and I'll pass this one.
And you can probably just, if you have any.
Okay, thank you so much. Our entire residency is really appreciative of you taking the time. And the analogies between high-level athletics and what we do, which is demands high-level technical and interpersonal and emotional skills is I think an apt one. One thing I was wondering if you would comment on, every resident in the room and every surgeon in the room, whether they know it or not, they have either hit a wall or they are going to hit a wall, or they have and it's going to happen again. And it's not if that's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. What do you tell your team and your players about when that happens and how to get through that and how that impacts the team?
Well, hopefully you prevent the accident. You keep balance so you don't hit a wall. And if you're on a team, if you see someone going in that direction, you know, for me as a coach, when I would cut down on workload, maybe add some humor, just something that, you know, just to work together. You know, by the way, the person that prepared the most that I coached was Kobe Bryant. He was the ultimate preparer. And part of it, he never hit a wall because he loved preparation. And instead of looking at the preparation you do as work, how I'm getting better and I'm going to be better than you by doing it. He was competitive in his preparation, not just in the competition. He was competitive with himself about preparation. Amazing. You know, when I coached them they have a documentary called The Redeem Team that just came out. It's wonderful. And we met as a staff in Vegas 2 days early before the team. And as we're meeting, there's a knock on the door, and it's Kobe, 2 days early. And he looks in, he said, "Coach, can I meet with you for a little bit?" And I said, "Certainly." So we went to another room, and we sit down. He said, "I want you to do me a favor." I said, "Okay, what's that?" He said, "I want to guard the best perimeter player on every team that we play." And then he pauses, and he had eyes that killed you. He and Michael Jordan, they look at you like, I'm dead. No, he unbelievable. Then he leans forward and he says, "And I promise you I'll destroy him." And I wanted to get out of contract at that time. And basically he's the leading scorer in the country, in the world at that time in the NBA. And he knew that he was the alpha dog, and he wanted to do what was right. And so he became our best defensive player. And during the documentary, there's one story where all the guys go out to one of the clubs, and when they come back like 5 in the morning. And as they're getting on the elevator, Kobe gets off in his workout stuff at 5 in the morning. And he just goes, the guy saw this and said, this guy's an alien. The next day, 3 of those guys were with him. During the next week, all of them were with him. And and so preparation, he never hit a wall. But again, changing a little bit of your routine, or I think too, you hit a wall by being alone. I think you get back to that, like being alone wears your ass out. Like we weren't meant to be alone. We weren't meant to be alone. And during COVID, one of the things I found from speaking, all these people have done Zooms and all that. They've missed out on the energy you get from people, the interaction, and that's why you want to interact. You get energy. I did 3 Zooms yesterday, content calls. One was our board meeting with the MLK. I had to do it by Zoom. At the end of the day, I was worn out. And I have a dog now. Come on, Coach. His name's Coach. Let's get the hell out of here. Right? We got to go outside. I need. Come over here. Let's hug one another, or jump on me for a little bit. You need some interaction. You need some interaction like that.
You talked a little bit about. Can you use the mic, please? You had talked a little bit about how you try to create a team mentality and avoid singular pronouns, but also trying to balance individual accountability and inevitably on any team, there's individuals who take more of a leadership role, individuals who take more of a support role. You mentioned like Kobe Bryant. How do you balance trying to make sure the person's thinking comprehensively about the team, but if one individual does make a mistake, how do you deal with that? Because it could essentially be one person's problem, but obviously you don't want to call them out in front of the team.
No, we call. We do that too. You have to call out the mistake when it happens, but you're not crucifying the person. You say you can't do that, man, and whatever it is. This is not what we practice. It's how you do it. And every once in a while, sometimes somebody needs to get, they need it, especially a really talented person. And I'm hardest on my best players, and I tell them that all the time. If I'm hard on you, honest, and I'm not going to be effusive in all, you're going to get all the notoriety you want. I'm going to be effusive in my stuff with the guy who got the rebound or whatever, because they set the stage for you to be you to be good. But again, you don't want to bury a person. But come on, we can do. You got to do better than that. Or but if it's, I just think you hold them accountable. I'd have to give you a personal thing, but for me on last year's team, like with Paulo, about 5 different times in tape sessions in front of the whole team, I let him have it. Things are built around you, man. You got you got to do this. And the first time I did it, then I met with them individually. Or a good thing is to have an assistant. Then you talk to him after practice, just shoot with him and find out if he took it the right way. And then if he didn't, but he did. And he said, for him, he said, I got you, coach. I said, really? I said, don't do that crap anymore. That'll show me that you got, I don't, handling mistakes, in the moment, you got to be able to do it, because in the moment that you're in, you got to correct the mistake if you can, right? Yeah. And then when you analyze it and give feedback, that's a little bit different, But in that moment, it's being truthful. Like, your shoes stink, right? I mean, it gets back to that. There's going to be that moment and you say, you're right. I got, instead of saying, oh. And so you got to be tough too, man. Like, and be able, not to take it personally. Don't take things personally. And then it's up to the leader to make sure that that's not the tone you only have with that person, which lends itself to think that it is personal. It's that's what makes leadership so incredibly exciting and important, is that it's different. It's different with a group every day, and it's different with different individuals in the group and what they need. So I don't know if that answers your question, but accountability is one of the top things, and if you have trust, accountability, and then you have a team that works together, accountability can lead to immediate action that takes care of stuff.
All right. Well, this has been really special. We have a couple gifts for Coach. First off, I don't know if you've heard, Coach, but there's a lot of OR shortages with help around here. That's across the country after the pandemic. So since you have a little more free time, we got you, your Duke scrub cap. So you're always welcome to the OR to help us out. And I know you're going to Napa this week, but we thought we'd get you started. So this is for you and Ricky. Your little gift. So please thank Coach.
Thank you. God bless you for what you're doing.